Hello everybody.
大家好，
Hello, everybody.
Hello everybody. Good morning, Mr. President.
早上好，总统先生。
Good morning, Mr. President.
Any questions?
Are there any questions?
有提问吗？
Any questions?
Are there any questions?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
我们开始吧。
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
我愿意和中国打交道，但他们必须解决他们的贸易顺差问题。
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus.
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China.
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China.
我们与中国存在巨大的赤字问题。
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China.
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
他们每年至少有1万亿美元的盈余。
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year.
I think it's like $1 trillion.
I think it's like $1 trillion.
我认为是1万亿美元。
I think it's like $1 trillion.
I think it's like $1 trillion.
And I want that solved.
And I want that solved.
我想解决这个问题。
And I want that solved.
And I want that solved.
No other president's taking it on.
And no other president is taking it on.
而其他总统都不愿意承担这个任务。
No other president's taking it on.
And no other president is taking it on.
I had to take it on the last time. Then we had a rigged election.
I hadn't taken it on the last time that we had a rigged election.
上一次选举被操纵的时候，我没有接手这个问题。
I had to take it on the last time. Then we had a rigged election.
I hadn't taken it on the last time that we had a rigged election.
So China is, they say the market's smoking.
And so China is, they say the market is smoking.
所以中国，你知道，他们说市场正在燃烧。
So China is, they say the market's smoking.
And so China is, they say the market is smoking.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
现在中国正遭受重大打击，因为大家都知道我们是对的。
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
他们必须支付关税，否则我们将出现贸易顺差，而他们的对我们的贸易顺差是不可持续的。
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
They have to pay tariffs because otherwise we have a surplus and they have a surplus with us that is not sustainable.
And we're talking about $1 trillion, right?
And we're talking about $1 trillion, right?
我们正在谈论的是1万亿美元，你知道的。
And we're talking about $1 trillion, right?
And we're talking about $1 trillion, right?
Of crashing the markets on purpose.
Not of crashing the markets on purpose.
不是故意摧毁市场，
Of crashing the markets on purpose.
Not of crashing the markets on purpose.
There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
There's been some speculation partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
部分原因是社交媒体 Truth 上发布的一段视频，有人猜测你有故意让股市下跌的企图。
There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
There's been some speculation partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off.
Can you talk about that one?
Can you talk about that one?
你能谈谈那个吗？
Can you talk about that one?
Can you talk about that one?
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
但我确实想解决我们与欧盟和其他国家之间的赤字问题。
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
我们已经承诺投资7万亿美元在美国建设汽车工厂、芯片公司，各种各样的企业以前所未有的规模涌入我们的国家。
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
We have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before.
Biden had nothing coming in.
Biden had nothing coming in.
拜登之前什么都没有。
He had nothing coming in.
Biden had nothing coming in.
This was a dead country with Biden.
This was a dead country with Biden.
在拜登领导下，这是一个即将灭亡的国家。
This was a dead country with Biden.
This was a dead country with Biden.
He didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing.
他不知道自己在做什么。
He didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing.
And that's now been proven at least.
And that's now been relevant, at least.
至少现在这已经变得相关了。
And that's now been proven at least.
And that's now been relevant, at least.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
你这个周末和很多领导人进行了交谈。
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend.
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
你能告诉我们，先生，有没有达成任何协议吗？
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
我与来自世界各地的许多欧洲和亚洲领导人进行了交谈。
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world.
Dying to make a deal.
They're dying to make a deal.
他们急切地想要达成协议。
Dying to make a deal.
They're dying to make a deal.
I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
我说，我们不会让你们国家出现赤字的。
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
And I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
我们不会那样做，因为对我来说，赤字就是损失。
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
我们会出现盈余，或者至少收支平衡。
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
但中国在这一组国家中会是最糟糕的，因为赤字太大且不可持续。
China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable.
You know, I was elected on this.
And you know I was elected on this.
你知道，我是以此当选的。
And you know, I was elected on this.
And you know I was elected on this.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
这是我在竞选中获胜的主要原因之一。
biggest reasons I got elected.
This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected.
It was exactly because of this.
It was exactly because of this.
正是因此我才当选的。
It was exactly because of this.
It was exactly because of this.
We're going to put tariffs on.
And we're going to put tariffs on.
我们将要征收关税。
We're going to put tariffs on.
And we're going to put tariffs on.
We've already put them on.
We've already put them on.
我们已经实施了关税。
We've already put them on.
We've already put them on.
It's not a question if we will.
It's not a question if we will.
这根本不是一个是否的问题。
It's not a question if we will.
It's not a question if we will.
We're going to put them on.
We're going to put them on.
我们将要征收它们。
We're going to put them on.
We're going to put them on.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
而明年这些关税将使我们获得1万亿美元的收入。
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
除了这1万亿美元之外，成千上万家公司将会迁回美国和北卡罗来纳州。
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States and North Carolina.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
家具业的人已经开始在底特律和密歇根州重新布局。我之所以能赢得选举，是因为我说过的话，也就是我现在告诉你们的。
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Already furniture people are starting to move back in Detroit and Michigan, which I won because of what I said, what I'm telling you.
Our companies are starting to open up.
Car companies are starting to open up.
汽车公司开始重新开业了。
Car companies are starting to open up.
Car companies are starting to open up.
Indiana, a big one, is under construction, as an example. Honda.
In Indiana, a big one is under construction, as an example, Honda.
在印第安纳州，本田就是一个正在建设的大项目。
Indiana, a big one, is under construction, as an example. Honda.
In Indiana, a big one is under construction, as an example, Honda.
Like nobody's ever seen this before.
But nobody has ever seen this before.
但从来没有人见过这样的事情。
Like nobody's ever seen this before.
But nobody has ever seen this before.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
因此，我们不能允许中国拥有1万亿美元的贸易顺差，这对我们来说是不可持续的。
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
在接下来的一段时间里，我已经实施的关税将使我们获得超过1万亿美元的收入。
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted.
They're already in place.
They're already in place.
这些关税已经生效了。
They're already in place.
They're already in place.
What's going to happen with the market?
Now what's going to happen with the market?
那么市场会发生什么变化呢？
What's going to happen with the market?
Now what's going to happen with the market?
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
我不能告诉你确切的答案，但我可以告诉你，我们的国家变得更加强大了。
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
Eventually, it'll be a country like no other.
And eventually it'll be a country like no other.
最终，它会成为一个前所未有的国家。
And eventually, it'll be a country like no other.
And eventually it'll be a country like no other.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
它将成为世界上经济最强大的国家。
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
Here's what it should be.
That's just what it should be.
这正是它应该成为的样子。
Here's what it should be.
That's just what it should be.
You have to take medicine to fix something.
It's to take medicine to fix something.
它是用来治病的药。
You have to take medicine to fix something.
It's to take medicine to fix something.
Or it's already started because they put tariffs on it.
Have it's already started because they put tariffs on it.
我们现在已经开始，因为他们对它加征了关税。
Or it's already started because they put tariffs on it.
Have it's already started because they put tariffs on it.
And eventually it's going to straighten out.
And eventually it's going to straighten out.
最终，一切都会好起来的。
And eventually it's going to straighten out.
And eventually it's going to straighten out.
Our country will be solid and strong again.
And our country will be solid and strong again.
我们的国家会再次变得稳固和强大。
Our country will be solid and strong again.
And our country will be solid and strong again.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the US and Europe.
马斯克表示，他希望美欧之间实现零关税。
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe.
Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the US and Europe.
A place you'd like to also get to?
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
那也是你想达到的地方吗？
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
问题是，欧洲从我们这里赚了大钱。
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us.
Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
你知道，欧盟对美国也有巨大的贸易顺差。
Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States.
Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
Europe is treating us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
欧洲对我们来说可能小一点，但他们对待我们非常非常不好。
Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
Europe is treating us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly.
China has, but Europe has also.
China has, but Europe has also.
中国是这样做的，但欧盟也是这样做的。
China has, but Europe has also.
China has, but Europe has also.
Europe has been very, very bad to us.
Europe has been very, very bad to us.
欧洲对我们非常非常不好。
Europe has been very, very bad to us.
Europe has been very, very bad to us.
Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars.
Europe has taken our, they don't take our cars.
欧洲拿走了我们的东西，他们不买我们的汽车。
Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars.
Europe has taken our, they don't take our cars.
They don't take our food products.
They don't take our food products.
他们不买我们的食品产品。
They don't take our food products.
They don't take our food products.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
什么都不买。
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
We take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. You know, we take their millions of cars.
If we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, you know, we take their millions of cars.
如果我们买他们的汽车，奔驰、大众、宝马等，你知道，我们买了他们数百万辆的汽车。
We take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. You know, we take their millions of cars.
If we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, we take their millions of cars.
They take no cars.
They take no cars.
他们不买任何汽车，
They take no cars.
They take no cars.
They don't take our farm product.
They don't take our farm product.
他们不买我们的农产品，
They don't take our farm product.
They don't take our farm product.
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
什么都不买。
They don't take anything.
They don't take anything.
Europe's treated us very badly.
Europe's treated us very badly.
欧洲对待我们非常不好，
Europe's treated us very badly.
Europe's treated us very badly.
We put a big tariff on Europe.
We put a big tariff on Europe.
我们在对欧洲征收高额关税，
We put a big tariff on Europe.
We put a big tariff on Europe.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
但是除非他们每年给我们一大笔钱，否则就没有讨论的余地了。
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis.
Number one for present, but also for past.
Number one for present, but also for past.
现在第一，也是过去的第一。
Number one for present, but also for past.
Number one for present, but also for past.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away and we're not going to allow it to happen.
因为他们拿走了我们很多财富，而且我们不允许这种事情发生。
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away and we're not going to allow it to happen.
You know what they said?
You know what they said?
你知道他们说了什么吗？
You know what they said?
You know what they said?
I don't want to say.
I don't want to say.
我不想说，
I don't want to say.
I don't want to say.
I'll put it out.
I'll put it out.
我将把它公布出来。
I'll put it out.
I'll put it out.
I have to find out if they mind.
I have to find out if they mind.
我得看看他们是否介意。
I have to find out if they mind.
I have to find out if they mind.
All I want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
I'll want to do it, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
你们都想要这么做，只是为了让你明白我所做的事情的力量。
All I want to do, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
I'll want to do it, just so you understand the power of what I'm doing.
Every country is calling and being very solicitous of us.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
每个国家都在说他们对我们非常关心。
Every country is calling and being very solicitous of us.
Every country is calling it being very solicitous of us.
Very, very nice.
Very, very nice.
非常好，
Very, very nice.
Very, very nice.
Being very nice.
They're being very nice.
他们表现得非常友好。
Being very nice.
They're being very nice.
And we have to be able to justify it.
And we have to be able to justify it.
我们必须能够证明这一点。
And we have to be able to justify it.
And we have to be able to justify it.
This is not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
这不可持续。
This is not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion for trade.
美国不能在贸易上损失1.9万亿美元。
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion on trade.
The United States can't lose $1.9 trillion for trade.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
我们既不能这样做，也不能花很多钱来保护欧洲国家的北约。
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
We can't do that and also spend a lot of money on NATO in order to protect European nations.
Cover them with military.
We cover them with military.
我们用军事力量覆盖他们，
We cover them with military.
We cover them with military.
We lose money on trade.
Then we lose money on trade.
然后我们在贸易上亏损，
We lose money on trade.
Then we lose money on trade.
And the whole thing is crazy.
The whole thing is crazy.
这一切都是疯狂的。
And the whole thing is crazy.
The whole thing is crazy.
And I got elected on that basis.
And I got elected on that basis.
我就是基于这一点当选的。
I got elected on that basis.
And I got elected on that basis.
Explained it.
We explained it.
我们已经解释过了。
Explained it.
We explained it.
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
You know the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
你知道，美国人民比媒体更理解它。
You know, the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
You know the American people understand it a lot better than the media.
The media understands it.
But the media understands it.
但是媒体也理解这一点。
The media understands it.
But the media understands it.
Much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
必须说，大部分的媒体都正确地报道了这一点。
Much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
And much of the media writes correctly about it, I must say.
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate, and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
下一轮与俄罗斯的会谈何时举行？谁将参加？我们在和平进程方面取得了多大进展？
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate, and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
When are the next set of talks with Russia and who will participate and where are we in terms of making progress in terms of peace?
We're talking to Russia.
We're talking to Russia.
我们正在与俄罗斯进行对话。
We're talking to Russia.
We're talking to Russia.
Like it to stop.
We'd like it to stop.
我们希望它能停止。
Like it to stop.
We'd like it to stop.
I don't like the bombing.
I don't like the bombing.
我不喜欢轰炸。
I don't like the bombing.
I don't like the bombing.
Bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
The bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
轰炸持续不断，每周都有成千上万的年轻人丧生。
Bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
The bombing goes on, and every week thousands of young people are being killed.
It would have never started if I were president, 100%.
And it would have never started without our president, 100%.
而且，如果不是我们的总统，这一切根本不会发生，100%如此。
It would have never started if I were president, 100%.
And it would have never started without our president, 100%.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
糟糕的事情发生在我们的国家，包括我们开放的边境。
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
Bad things happen to our country, including our open border.
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one,
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in and if they find one.
当你想到拜登允许数百万人进来，如果他们找到一个时，这真的很悲哀。
it's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in, and if they find one,
It's really sad when you think that Biden allowed millions of people to come in and if they find one.
I will tell you, the one, somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Tren de Aragua.
Now I will tell you the one somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Trent de Aragua.
现在我要告诉你，有人说他是 MS-13的成员，并不是特伦特·德阿瓜拉。
I will tell you, the one, somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Tren de Aragua.
Now I will tell you the one somebody said he's a member of MS-13, not Trent de Aragua.
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
He's a member of MS-13 and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
他是 MS-13的成员，因此他应该立即被带回。
He's a member of MS-13, and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
He's a member of MS-13 and therefore he should immediately be brought back.
MS-13 is just as bad as Tren de Aragua.
Well, MS-13 is just as bad as Trent de Aragua.
MS-13和特伦特·德阿瓜拉一样糟糕。
MS-13 is just as bad as Tren de Aragua.
Well, MS-13 is just as bad as Trent de Aragua.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them. He's with MS-13.
所以他们说，我们犯了个错误，因为他不是他们的成员， 他是 MS-13的成员。
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them, he's with MS-13.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake because he's not with them. He's with MS-13.
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
把他们都带回去。
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
MS-13 is a very bad group.
MS-13 is a very bad group.
MS-13是一个非常糟糕的团体。
MS-13 is a very bad group.
MS-13 is a very bad group.
Maybe as bad, actually.
Maybe as bad, actually.
实际上，可能更糟糕。
Maybe as bad, actually.
Maybe as bad, actually.
How concerned are you about the measles outbreak?
How concerned are you about the measles outbreak?
你对麻疹爆发有多担心？
How concerned are you about the measles outbreak?
How concerned are you about the measles outbreak?
There's another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
今天又有一个人死亡，你还希望在应对措施上看到什么？
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
There was another fatality today, and what else would you like to see in terms of the response?
I think they're doing reports on it.
Well, I think they've been doing reports on it.
我认为他们一直在报道这件事。
I think they're doing reports on it.
Well, I think they've been doing reports on it.
So far, a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
到目前为止，受影响的人数相对较小，与我们讨论的相比。
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
It's so far a fairly small number of people relative to what we're talking about.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
这是人们多年来都知道的事情。
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Something that people have known about for many, many years.
Measles has been, this is not something new.
I mean, measles has been, this is not something new.
我的意思是，麻疹是众所周知的，这不是什么新情况。
Measles has been, this is not something new.
I mean, measles has been, this is not something new.
And we'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens.
我们会看看会发生什么。
And we'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens.
Certainly, if it, progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
But certainly, if it, progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
但当然，如果情况恶化，我们必须采取非常强烈的行动。
Certainly, if it, progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
But certainly, if it, progresses, we'll have to take action very strongly.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other, the U.S. and El Salvador.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other in the U.S. and El Salvador.
萨尔瓦多总统在离任时说，他被邀请于4月14日访问白宫进行工作访问，讨论特兰达阿瓜和 MS-13以及其他我们可以互相支持的方式，在美国以及萨尔瓦多。
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other, the U.S. and El Salvador.
El Salvador's president said on X that he'd been invited to the White House on April 14th for a working visit to discuss Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and other ways we can support each other in the U.S. and El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
我很好奇，你能详细说明一下你对萨尔瓦多的一些其他想法吗？
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I was curious if you could expand more on what some of these other ideas you have for El Salvador.
I have great respect for him.
I have great respect for him.
我对他的尊敬很深。
I have great respect for him.
I have great respect for him.
I know him.
I know him.
我知道他。
Know him.
I know him.
Young leader.
Young leader.
年轻的领导者。
Young leader.
Young leader.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
而在他们的系统，他们的监狱系统中，他们花费的金钱只是这个国家的一小部分。
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
And in their system, their prison system, they spend a tiny fraction of the money that this country spends.
So, but he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
But he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
所以，但他会进来，我不知道什么时候，但接下来几周他会来的。
So, but he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
But he is coming in, I don't know when, but he is coming in sometime over the next couple of weeks.
What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about?
What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about?
你们和内塔尼亚胡总理将讨论什么？
What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about?
What are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to speak about?
Trade.
贸易。
Trade. We're going to talk about the happiest subject.
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
我们将谈论最愉快的话题。
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
And we're going to talk about the happiest subject.
You know what the happiest subject is?
You know what the happiest subject is.
你知道最愉快的话题是什么？
You know what the happiest subject is?
You know what the happiest subject is.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
我试图做贸易，只是为了保持它在低位。
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
I'm trying to do trade just to keep it down.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
现在中东有很多事情需要平息。
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
There's a lot of things going on with the Middle East right now that have to be silenced.
We had no problem with the Middle East.
You know, we had no problem with the Middle East.
你知道，我们对中东没有问题。
No, we had no problem with the Middle East.
You know, we had no problem with the Middle East.
Everything was done.
Everything was done.
一切都已经完成了。
Everything was done.
Everything was done.
We had no problem with Iran.
We had no problem with Iran.
我们对伊朗没有任何问题。
We had no problem with Iran.
We had no problem with Iran.
We had no problem with anybody.
We had no problem with anybody.
我们对任何人都没有任何问题。
We had no problem with anybody.
We had no problem with anybody.
And then you had October 7th.
And then you had October 7th.
然后是10月7日，
And then you had October 7th.
And then you had October 7th.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
而这一切都是因为伊朗，你知道的，没有给任何人钱，因为他们没钱。
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
And that was all because Iran, as you know, was not giving money to anybody because they had no money.
Now they have a lot of money.
Now they have a lot of money.
现在他们有很多钱，
Now they have a lot of money.
Now they have a lot of money.
So we'll see what happens.
So we'll see what happens.
所以我们看看会发生什么。
So we'll see what happens.
So we'll see what happens.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
那里的总统说他愿意接受美国公民进入联邦监狱人口中。
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population.
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
这是你将要讨论的想法之一吗？
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing?
Is that one of the ideas you're going to be discussing? Well, I'd love that.
哦，我非常喜欢这个想法。
Love that.
Well, I'd love that.
We could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
如果我们能带走一些那些把人推下地铁站台的人，那些在背后打人的家伙，那些故意开车撞人的家伙。
We could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars.
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give my.
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give them.
如果你愿意接受他们，我将很荣幸地把他们交给你。
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give my.
If you would take them, I'd be honored to give them.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
我不知道法律对此有何规定，但我无法想象法律会说任何不同的事情。
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
如果他们能以比我们少得多的钱来关押这些可怕的罪犯，我对此表示赞同。
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it.
But I'd only do according to the law.
But I'd only do according to the law.
但我会根据法律行事。
But I'd only do according to the law.
But I'd only do according to the law.
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
但我曾建议过，你知道的，为什么非法越境的人应该停止呢？
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally?
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
We have some horrible criminals American grown and born.
我们有一些可怕的罪犯是美国本土生长和出生的。
We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born.
We have some horrible criminals American grown and born.
If we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him.
And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about them.
如果我们有人把一个老妇人打倒在地，如果我们有人坐了20次牢，然后又到处开枪射击人们，然后有一个糟糕的法官或检察官对此无动于衷。
If we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him.
And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about them.
All they worry about is politics.
All they worry about is politics.
他们只关心政治。
All they worry about is politics.
All they worry about is politics.
They don't worry about that.
They don't worry about that.
他们不担心这些事情。
They don't worry about that.
They don't worry about that.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody but to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
我认为，如果我们能从萨尔瓦多或其他国家那里得到一些，但能把这些人带走的话，我会非常高兴的。
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody but to take them, I'd be very happy with it.
But I have to see what the law says.
But I have to see what the law says.
但我必须看看法律怎么说。
But I have to see what the law says.
But I have to see what the law says.
Okay, what else?
Okay, what else?
好的，还有别的吗？
Okay, what else?
Okay, what else?
Can you say, did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
Did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
你同意降低今天交谈的国家中的任何国家的关税了吗？
Can you say, did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
Did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today?
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
珍妮弗，你需要明白的是，你必须去理解它。
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
What you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand it.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
我们正在与拥有巨大盈余的国家打交道。
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with.
We have massive deficits.
We have massive deficits.
我们有巨大的赤字。
We have massive deficits.
We have massive deficits.
We've got to straighten that out.
We've got to straighten that out.
我们必须解决这个问题。
We've got to straighten that out.
We've got to straighten that out.
Because you can't continue to be that way.
Because you can't continue to be that way.
因为你不能一直这样下去。
Because you can't continue to be that way.
Because you can't continue to be that way.
It's been that way for years now.
It's been that way for years now.
这种情况已经持续了好几年了。
It's been that way for years now.
It's been that way for years now.
And it can't go on any longer.
And it can't go on any longer.
而且它不能再这么继续下去了。
And it can't go on any longer.
And it can't go on any longer.
And we're the piggy bank.
And we're the piggy bank.
而我们就是那个取款机。
And we're the piggy bank.
And we're the piggy bank.
We have all the advantages.
We have all the advantages.
我们拥有所有优势。
We have all the advantages.
We have all the advantages.
Forget pockets for a second.
Forget pockets for a second.
先别提钱包的事了。
Forget pockets for a second.
Forget pockets for a second.
We're going to straighten out.
We're going to straighten that out.
我们会解决这个问题的。
We're going to straighten out.
We're going to straighten that out.
We're going to become a wealthy nation again.
We're going to become a wealthy nation again.
我们将再次成为一个富裕国家。
We're going to become a wealthy nation again.
We're going to become a wealthy nation again.
Wealthy like never before.
Wealthy like never before.
比以往任何时候都富有。
Wealthy like never before.
Wealthy like never before.
We're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made, it's been like a feast.
我们不会让其他国家继续剥削我们，无论是中国还是欧盟以及所有欧洲国家都一直在，这简直就像一场盛宴。
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made it's been like a feast.
And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made, it's been like a feast.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
听着，欧盟成立只有一个原因。
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
Look, the European Union was formed for one reason.
You know what that was?
You know what that was?
你知道那是什么吗？
You know what that was?
You know what that was?
To rip off the United States.
To rip off the United States.
就是为了剥削美国。
To rip off the United States.
To rip off the United States.
Put that in your bonnet.
So, put that in your bonnet.
所以，把这个放在你的心里吧。
Put that in your bonnet.
So, put that in your bonnet.
I hope you had a good flight.
I hope you had a good flight.
希望你的航班顺利。
I hope you had a good flight.
I hope you had a good flight.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
感谢您宝贵的时间，总统先生。
Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
本次节目到这里就结束了。如果你喜欢这种英文练习方式的话，可以考虑订阅我们的频道，然后在底下按赞并分享出去。有什么建议，也可以在留言区告诉我们，让我们产出更符合您期望的影片。我们下次再见，拜拜。